Times it was the wheel. Okay. All right, folks.
10 minutes late.
We're a little late, but as promised, we are here with Grindall 61. This is Gary Gileno, folks. And I'm in a little better mood now that I'm in good company with my good friend here.
Yeah, you were in a bad mood on both of your videos today.
Because guess what, folks? Guess what? We got big problems. And the witching hour is the commute home. And that's when the truth flies off the handle and into the frying pan and into the fire, folks, and in your face and down your throats. And that's the way it's going to be, because there's no other way to deliver it, folks. We cannot put castor oil in a Twinkie. It's got to be delivered where it is absorbed by your body and not the fluff. I'm live here with Grindall 61. This is Gary Gileno. If you are not a subscriber to his channel, I strongly suggest you go to Grindall 61 on YouTube and sub right now before we get into the meat and potatoes and the broccoli. Gary has decided to come over here tonight, and it looks like he brought something with him. And before he gets into his bag of tricks, ladies and gentlemen, okay, we got a pretty good audience. Nice to see all you. Can you hear the audio okay, everybody?
Test.
Test 1, 2, 3. How's it looking?
Put a 1.
Okay, good. Okay, folks. You know, I'm a student of history, and I'm also a disciple of the future. And one of the things I really enjoy is our Christian heritage, folks. And this nation has a lot of it. And I want to read something here. This is out of the impregnable rock of Holy Scriptures by the Right Honorable W.E. Gladstone. And these are the people that founded and framed our country and our constitutional republic. He says, I do not ask to see the distant scene, one step enough for me. And our Savior astonished the people because instead of being lost in the mazes of arbitrary and vicious excrescences that darken the face of religion, he taught them with authority and not as the scribes. If God had given us a revelation of his will, whether in the laws of our nature or in the kingdom of grace, that revelation not only illuminates but binds. And like the credentials of an earthly ambassador, it is just and necessary that the credentials of that revelation should be tested. And we're here to test those credentials, folks, because we stand on the word of God and we follow the one who paid it all, the one who walked out of that tomb, and the one who died for you and I, folks, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. And into prayer, I'm going to go right now, folks. Whether you like it or not, you're coming with us. Father, in Jesus' name, bless this broadcast. Bless this time together. Bless this honorable and dignified man sitting next to me that risks his life and his livelihood for the benefit of people he doesn't even know, as well as I do. And we ask your hedge of protection over our families and all of our family on this channel and on Gary's channel. And may this information go far and wide for the furtherance of the truth of the Christian gospel. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Gary, you showed up over here. It's all you right now, buddy. Go ahead.
Well, just I like to just to have this be an organic conversation. I kind of want to just continue the. We were actually having a conversation when he hit the live button, and so I stopped in the mid sentence of what I was saying. But I'll just kind of give a little bit of background. So, I just don't know what to do about California anymore. And I had a conversation earlier today with someone about this very thing, and I'm getting so frustrated with people because it's just the same thing over and over and over again, and that is people, they just don't want to do anything, and then they only will do it if it directly impacts them. So a couple of examples is a couple of years back they had that big methane gas leak in Porter Ranch, and for months they had 400 or 500 people at city council meetings. It was only when people started getting sick from being poisoned that they showed up to meetings. We were talking about the sex ed curriculum in the schools. It's the same exact thing. Parents aren't paying any attention to what's going on in the state legislature or any of that. And then they only get upset when their kids come home with the textbooks, and then they show up to the school board meeting and it's already too late. Another example is Huntington Beach has a great activism going on over there, and they've had a lot of success, but it's the same old story. The only reason why they got active in the first place is they started building all these giant skyscraper buildings in the city, and people realized they no longer had a view of the ocean. And that got them out to the meetings, to city council. Hey, well, what's going on? And when your city erects giant structures like that, that's there forever. That's not going anywhere. You're not going to change that. And so what I was saying mid-sentence when you started this is, I constantly hear people online. I've heard this for 20 years now, but I mean, so all the time online. And I know that people were saying it 50 years ago from people that I know that are old enough to have been around back then. People are always talking about this mythical civil war that's going to happen in America, Civil War 2.0. And I'm not going to say that it can't ever happen, but I don't think we are anywhere near close to anything. I mean, I'd say we're like 1% of the way there. There's little things that could happen from time to time, like little flashpoints, but the idea of a large section of the country fighting with itself, where people are dying, I mean, that's not going to happen. And it's very simple. And it's what I always say, and that is, life in this country is just too good. People are not willing to die for their freedom or any of this stuff. And I know there's the guys that have been in the military and all that, and they go overseas. But let's be honest. At the end of the day, the guys that go overseas, they're not fighting for the freedom of Americans on American soil. They're fighting for whatever's going on in some other part of the world. We talk about how we need to build a wall or secure our border. We can't even do that, but we could secure the border of other nations. So and I know some guys that are ex-military that they want to relive that adrenaline rush of fighting in a war, and they just can't wait to get the fighting going. But one guy here and there does not equate to a full-on civil war. So things are going to have to get significantly worse. And you take California as a case example. I don't care what you think about California or the politics or any of the things you hear on TV. My life's really good. Life's good. I mean, the fact that we're able to sit here peacefully with internet and do a live stream broadcast, not worrying about our roof being blown off or being black bagged in the middle of the night. I mean, it's good. I mean, we got cars, we got gas tanks. Our gas tanks are full. Our fridges are full. We got clothes on our back. We got roofs over our head. And, there's places where they don't have a lot of those things. And it's only when people start losing some of those basic things that people are going to finally take to the streets and say enough. Look at what's going on over in Paris. I haven't really even followed the story, but I know it has to do with the gasoline prices. I mean, they're rioting over there over gas prices. Whereas here in California, we had a chance to lower our gas prices, and then we lost the election by we lost the election by 20 points. So I mean, it's just like I say, people only respond when it hits them directly, and I gave 3 different examples of that. People just don't want to proactively do any of this, and I always say, you don't have to be me or Joe or anything like that. There was a guy that I was with earlier today that lives in my city, and this guy's a hero of mine, and he's just like anybody else. He works a regular job, and his only focus is on his city, and that's okay. Not everybody has to go out to every place all over the state. No, you don't have to do that. I mean, this guy doesn't even go to all the meetings, but generally speaking, only has to dedicate twice a month for a couple of hours each time, and he does it. And we need a lot more people to do that, and not only do it when they're reacting to what their kids come home with, or they're reacting another city, Glendora, and I'm not aware of the residents reacting yet, but in Glendora, they've gone full on with the whole stack and pack giant building agenda. And that Glendora is a town next to mine. And when you drive into Glendora, you can't even see the mountains anymore. because the buildings are so tall. And that's the whole thing of Glendora. They call themselves the pride of the foothills, and their whole thing is their view of the mountains. And you can't even see it anymore. So, it's just like, okay, like, so if you were to ask me right now, yeah, we're in trouble, but we're always in trouble. We were in trouble for 8 years under Obama. We were in trouble for 8 years under Bush. We were in trouble for 8 years under Clinton. We're always in trouble. But the thing is, life always moves on. And, unless you get struck down by cancer or something, or you have a freak accident, we're all still living. We're all still here. And this is just going to continue until it doesn't. And I don't know what it is that's going to happen that causes it to no longer continue. But I just, I know you talk about 5G and all that, and I don't know how any of that's going to play out, or how quickly it's going to get here. But, personally, I foresee all of this just continuing as it is for the next 20 to 30 years. I mean, I don't see, I couldn't imagine something happening that a year from now we're going to have a big old civil war. I mean, the government's not going to stage one. And people always say, oh, the government's going to stage a civil war. No, they're not. They don't need to. And not only do they not need to, they're spending trillions of dollars on infrastructure that will be destroyed in a civil war. So they're not going to have a civil war where they're going to destroy everything that they just have been building for the last 20 to 30 years. And as for the people having a civil war, that's not going to happen because, like I said, people, they're not going to die for it. It's just they'd rather stay at home in the comforts of their home with their air conditioning and their television set and their fridge full of food and beer and football and NBA basketball and everything else. And, in a way, I don't blame you. I mean, I was there at one time. I used to say all the time, I said, I don't need to go out and do any of that stuff. Somebody else will do it. And then when I started going to my city, I realized there was no one else doing it. And it kind of just took off from there. But, and I guess to bring it all the way around, I just don't know what to do about our state anymore because it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to collapse. And, I collapse into what? I mean, I don't know. What do you have?
Well, did it occur to you that maybe that's what they want? They want everybody fat, dumb, and happy and comfortable? Because it certainly seems like they're making sure it continues.
Well, that's how they're able to continually abuse us.
That's a good point.
Is the fact that most people don't even realize they're being abused.
So if you lose your job and you get into financial trouble, you just go down to one of these county buildings that was built with your grandpa's tax money. It's made out of brick and it's got asbestos laced tiles in the ceiling. And people that don't speak English behind the counter are looking at CRTs and cathode ray tubes. And you got to go in there. But guess what? If you play your cards right, you can get out of there with a credit card that you never have to pay the balance on. You can go to the drive-through in the grocery store and you can fatten up and eat all the food you want, hit the drive-throughs from here to Kingdom Come every month. And then if you play your cards right, you go to another window and they set you up with an apartment. And if you really play your cards right, you'll even have a freaking maid. Okay, I know people that are out of work and they get on the happy pills and they go down to the county and they get a diagnosis and they got a house, they got an apartment paid for, they got food, medical care, pills, and a housekeeper. I'm not kidding, folks. So Gary, you're on to something here, pal. And there is not going to be no civil war. It's all just a big psyop. They want everybody addicted to their accoutrements. And you're right on the money.
And you look at like we always talk about Venezuela. If they haven't broken out into civil war with the conditions they're in.
Well, I have to tell you, the conditions that Venezuela's in is not the conditions that we're being led to believe. That right there is something that I want you to understand. We're being shown that the country's in collapse. It ain't nearly that bad, folks, because they want us to get behind the invasion. But anyway, yeah, you have a point because they're not at that point yet, Gary. I don't think they'll ever let us get to that point here. And I think they want us to keep the guns so we can use them on each other, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't see how they're going to want us to, to screw up all these technological advancements that they're going to use to turn us into this. I mean, think about this, folks. All they need to do is turn it into Black Mirror. All they need to do is have an apartment about a 10 by 20 foot size. You ever been on a cruise ship and got the cheap room? Well, that's what you're going to live in. No windows and TV screens. And, you're going to hear everybody taking a dump and flushing the toilet 24 hours a day because you're going to have a wall right next to their bathroom. But you're not going to care because you're going to be hooked up to virtual reality, getting the millimeter wave and the microwaves and the hot pockets. And so, you're right, Gary. People are getting more anesthetized, and it's frustrating because you and I have been trying to rile the masses and get people pissed off enough to make a difference, and they just sink deeper into their milkshakes, right?
Yeah, and you always talk about TV, and I don't disagree when you say to turn off the TV. I think people should turn off the TV, but I think certain people should watch TV, like me, for example. I don't watch very much TV at all. I think I have it on maybe once a week. Sometimes I'll put it on intentionally, but sometimes you just got to see what they're feeding to the public, in terms of the commercials. Like, I actually started watching NBA basketball again in the last year or so. Because I was always really into NBA basketball like my whole life. And when I started doing all this stuff, I always tell people about making sacrifices. There were a lot of nights where I used to be home watching the game where I was at city council. And it took me a while to adjust to that. But eventually, I just stopped watching sports altogether for like 4 or 5 years. And then the last year, I've kind of gotten a little bit back into it. And one thing I hate about watching it is every commercial is about technology. Every single one. It's all about, you'll have one commercial about artificial intelligence. That's the whole commercial. Then you'll have another one about a smart car, and they actually say in the commercial that your most expensive piece of technology is in your driveway. Then the next commercial will be that one that I've shown where the kid's got the thing on his face and he's talking to the ice tray and he's talking to the fridge and he's talking to this and that.
Oh, is that the one where he goes to the dentist and has a
no, not that one. No, it's another one.
This guy can't get into his house because the computer.
Yeah, well, that's a great commercial. I don't even know. I think that's in Sweden or Norway. I don't know what country that was even from, but.
So you're telling me that all the commercials on TV are all about technology?
It's all about tech. Well,
is it 5G
for sports? When sports is on, it's all about technology. That's pretty much. And if it's not technology, then it's like a beer commercial.
Well, yeah, isn't sports like monster trucks? Trucks and beer commercials and Carl's Jr. Isn't that what it's? The hamburgers.
Well,
big fat hamburgers and beer and big trucks.
It's all the. Of course, it's all the big corporate sponsors. You'll have like a Coke ad. You'll have a fast food like Burger, Carl's Jr. or whatever. Then you'll have your typical commercial with one of the NBA athletes or ML, baseball players or whatever sport you're watching. But in between all of that, it doesn't matter. Like, there's always about 5 to 6 ads in between a timeout, and every single segment there's 2 to 3 technology ads out of those 5 to 6 ads.
For what kind of stuff?
Well, like I said, there's always one about cars, and and all the car and the car commercials are getting more ridiculous because it used to be you watch NFL football and they show the big old F-350 or whatever.
Well, yeah, so you can go fly fishing and
right,
driving.
Yeah, I'd be like driving through the woods and driving through the lake on the side with the view. Well, now the car ads are all about you're talking to the car while you're driving it, and then it'll be like, oh, you're feeling tired, and the guy takes his hands off the wheel and it starts steering itself.
Okay,
and
you know what? That's kinky because that's supposed to be. You're supposed to be if you're getting tired, you're supposed to be having the lady in the car with you to wake you up. Folks.
Yeah, well,
what's going on here, man? What are they trying to turn you all into, man?
So
that's why I don't watch TV. It's like,
well, it's so, and then and there's one particular commercial where it says, I think I'm saying it wrong, but it basically says your most expensive piece of technology is sitting in your driveway. Like they're now basically the car companies, they're not car companies anymore. They're now tech companies. And it's funny because people still deny that they're trying to get us out of the cars. And they go, well, the car companies are never going to allow this. They're in on it. And they're in on it.
I got to stop you.
Well, let me say one more thing. They're in on it by virtue of the fact that every single car company is putting in all this technology in the cars, which eventually is meant to get rid of the cars.
Okay. Gary Gileno runs the Grindall 61 YouTube channel. Grindall, Grindall 61. And he has done tremendous work on how they're trying to get us out of our cars and they're trying to cram us into stacking packs and how it's all about Agenda 21 and UN Agenda 2030. He has done his homework and he has, how many videos do you have on your channel? 1,000, 2,000 videos?
It's like 3,400.
This man has 3,400 videos on his channel, okay? And it is like the Encyclopedia Britannica of the fight to keep humanity from turning into the Hunger Games. So I urge you all to spend some time. If you have not subscribed to Gary's channel, Grindall61, you need to go there and educate yourselves on the tricks of the trade of these morons that are trying to enslave us and put us back on the plantation, because that's exactly what they're doing. Gary he dials in on the plans. He goes to the backroom meetings at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the ivory towers in downtown Los Angeles, and barges in there with a camera and asks the hard questions when they're trying to shove all this this Hunger Games model development down our throats. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go right ahead. I just had to plug you because of all the work you've done.
No, I appreciate it. Well, no, I'm just saying that so okay, well, the reason I don't even talk about the NBA or the commercials anymore, but they're really hitting hard with the car commercials, or just the technology commercials, I should say. But anyway, the reason why I brought up television, because you're always talking about it.
It's awful.
It is awful.
It's freaking awful.
And
man. There's no excuse for it.
One thing I've noticed as there are more channels to pick from on television, the more hypnotized the public gets. You know, I mean, I haven't been around that long, but when I was growing up, there was 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13.
And 28 and 64.
Yeah.
And then there was On TV. Remember the porno channel that had the line going down the middle? I'm just saying that was being broadcast on UHF for a while. And unless you had a decoder box, you'd see a squiggly line with, you know, scantily clad people hid behind it. That's as bad as it was.
Yeah, and then
look at how far we've come.
And then if you had a cable box, you know, then you had 70 channels. And then eventually you had like DirecTV, and then you had like 200 channels, and then it got up to like 800 channels, and now it's like in the thousands.
Is it really?
Well, I mean, the channels go up to that. I mean, it's just crazy. And the more there is to watch on TV, the dumber the public gets. I mean, it really is true. And, well, I mean, pretty much everybody does watch TV. I mean, there's very few people that I've ever come across in my life that don't watch any TV at all. I mean, me, like I said, I watch maybe like once a week, you know, because there are things I like to watch. I mean, I don't watch no TV, but like TV is not, it's a very low priority for me. But, you know, even me, like the amount of TV I watch, I don't know very many people that watch, you know, even that, you know, few amount of TV. But I mean, if you're gonna watch TV, you know, try to watch it with a discerning mind. And I think you even said it before, that TV, every time you put it on, no matter what it is, that you're watching something educational, and that is true. Get something out of it. You know, if you're watching like a movie, decipher the propaganda. If you're watching something with commercials, boy, those commercials, I mean, they're getting more propaganda-y.
That's pretty scary
as the years go on. I mean, seriously, like, and they, I don't know. Well, I do know why. Basically, you know, we can't talk about they, but they, I think they believe that if you're watching sports, you're like in the lowest common denominator of society. They think that you're really dumb if you're watching sports.
Oh, you gotta be.
Because I've noticed that the dumbest commercial, like when I say dumb, like, I mean, it's like the most propaganda that I see is on the sports channels. Like, so like my wife likes to watch TV, and she doesn't watch it that much either because she's not, you know, home enough to
she's kind of an intellectual, isn't she?
I call her a normie. I mean, she's just like everybody else.
But isn't she like an intellectual? Isn't she like she's educated?
Yeah, she's educated. But you know, so she likes to watch, like, the things that she watches are you know, are more akin to
Hammer Time.
And actually,
yeah,
there's one thing that you said I do disagree with. I forgot exactly what it was you said, but you were talking about TV.
It's Hammer Time.
You were talking about TV, and I think you said that TV was catered to men. Did you say that or no?
No.
Okay, because TV is catered to women, completely catered to women. And so my wife likes to watch like shows that women typically watch, And whenever and sometimes I'll sit down and watch it with her,
Hammer time.
just because I want to see what they're propagandizing the public with. And I laugh at the ads because a lot of the ads, I'm like, well, only a woman would watch this if they're showing this ad. It'll be about like periods and menstrual cycles and crap like that. But see, at least in that case, they're selling a product. You know, they'll sell like a hair care product or a makeup or like they're not doing the propaganda the way they do on the sports. See what I'm saying? Like they're actually selling a product, whereas on the sports channels, the product is the propaganda. I mean, they are just hammering this tech. I mean, if you put on like basketball, I'd say if you watch a whole game, you're gonna see the ad for the Google Home about 8 times. And Google Home is one of those speakers like the Alexa that one of the telescreens that listens to you in your house. I mean every 20 minutes they have that ad on the and I've seen it like 20 times where there's some celebrity, I don't know what her name is, but she's sitting there cutting the celery, and she goes, "Oh Google, what's this?" And then like the thing talks to her, and then like she's sitting there with her friends, and her friends are like, "Oh," you know, and they're just talking to this stupid thing, and they're making it look so normal to have this robot in your house that you're talking with.
Let me break down this phenomena that he's describing, folks, because here's what's going on. All right. The men are the protectors. The men are the ones that are supposed to be rational and brave and courageous and providers. That's how God created men. That's why men have bigger muscles than women, okay? I don't have boobs and I don't have flabby arms, okay, ladies and gentlemen? I'm a man.
Are you sure?
Now, you see this right here? This is hammer time.
Are you gonna hit me
You
with
see
it?
the back of the hammer, folks? You know what the back of this hammer is for? It's for chipping away and breaking things, and also for removing nails. The reason that they go after the men with all the technology commercials is they got to chip away at the defenses of the home to bring in the weaponry. So they've got to get the men acclimated to the accoutrements by chipping away slowly but surely and ramming this stuff down their throats to make the men break open the door and bring in the weaponry. While the woman's in the kitchen putting the frosting on the cupcakes, the man is at Best Buy thinking he's the hot stuff because he knows the stats, the scores, and how to plug this thing in. And that's why there's so much technology commercials on the sports, because they're going after the guardians of the home and bypassing them by lobotomizing them with the bullshit. That's what's going on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm ready to get into the prize bag.
It's hammer time, folks.
I'll let
Everybody should have one of these for your Wi-Fi router, for your Pillsbury a frosting container, for your microwave oven, for the Wi-Fi hotspot, for the 5G thing they're going to put on your light pole outside. You might want to get a hammer with a really long handle for that.
All right, I'm going to let you pick the topic. So I have LED lights, 5G, flu shots, shadow government leaders, artificial intelligence, genetically modified food. What's interesting to you? Because I don't think we're gonna be able to go through all these tonight.
Well, just give me something out of your bag of tricks.
Pick one. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about LED lights.
All right.
Let's talk about LED lights.
So I got a thing from Southern California Edison, who I believe aren't they owned by PG&E? Edison?
It's Edison International. I'm not sure that Rothschilds owns Edison International. It's possible.
I thought PG&E owned Edison.
Maybe they do.
Well, anyway, so
they're all up to the same.
So crap. I got one of these things in the mail.
Rating yourself compared to your neighbors.
Yeah, from the local energy utility.
So how'd you do?
I do pretty good. Because I don't use very much. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So on the back of the handout or the thing here, it says, save on your next bill. Replace your inefficient lighting. Incandescent and halogen bulbs waste energy by producing heat instead of light. So they are expensive to use despite their low price tag. Although the initial cost may be higher, LED bulbs last about 25 times longer and use less energy, saving a lot of money in the long run. And then it says CFLs. What would that be? It says CFLs use 75% less energy and last at least 10 times longer. Use Energy Star certified CFLs to cut lighting costs without sacrificing quality. If you want to
All
look at
right,
that for
ladies and
yourself.
gentlemen, I want to show you an LED flashlight I picked up. Did you know I like to shop at Goodwill, and I like to shop at the 99-cent store. Why? Because I have 4 children, and I have to raise my family, and I have to cut corners because I'm not independently wealthy. I'm not here selling penis enlargement products like Alex Jones would sell, or hair replacement formulas. I'm sitting here in my own free time spreading the word. Now, this is a light I picked up the 99-cent store. It happens to run on 3 AAA batteries, and it's a white light, right? Because it shows white light. See how it whitens up see how it whitens everything up here, folks? Okay, now look what it does. When you really look at it, the color rendering, see the blue? See the blue, folks? You see the blue coming out of that? These are LED light. This is an LED strip inside this $2 flashlight, folks. Do you see the blue? Okay, here's the point. First of all, what you see there are light emitting diodes. All right, they're basically they're diodes, folks. A couple things with this. This is a surveillance medium if it's connected wirelessly. This strip, you see those? Have you ever? Well, hey, if you want to come to my house and you're an unwelcome intruder, you're going to end up on my camera system, and it's infrared as well as visual. And so it's the same thing. You have these infrared LEDs. LED lighting. They have back doors in them, folks. And they're going to hook into this Internet of Things with the 5G, and they're going to surveil you in your house with these lights. And the street lights have the same capability of doing black body measurements and creating a 3D image grid. Now, there's another purpose to the LED lights, folks. Not just saving a few buckaroos on your Edison bill. It's all about what, folks? They say that these incandescent lights are wasting energy and they're inefficient. No, they're not, folks. You can have a 25-watt bulb that's orange. You can have a 50-watt bulb. It's pennies a year. Okay, that's not the issue. But the issue here is the color rendering index of these lights. You know what white light and blue light does to your circadian rhythm, folks? You see the blue there? I bet you never tried this trick at home. Well, hey, kids, don't do this without your parents in the room because you could go blind if you look at this thing. And I'm not kidding you. This is a $2 flashlight that can make you go blind. But here's the point, and I'll prove my point. That is, we know that blue light at night causes...
Why is that producing that?
That's because it is producing blue light, but it's blinded by the white light. I can show you other things that appear to be white that are actually, there's so much blue in this.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
There's so much blue light built into this stuff. And it's hidden and it's outglared by the white light, which are horrible as well. Here's the deal. When you got blue light at night going through your eyes, see these right here? They're not designed to have blue light going through your eyes at night. They're designed to have orange firelight and orange candlelight, and then you go to sleep and out goes the light. Kabish? What happens when blue light goes through the eyeballs at night? Really neat trick they're pulling on us to save a few dollars. Right? Check this out. Blue light at night, when it goes through your eyes, hits the retinal compounds in your eyes and forms reactive oxygen species which destroy permanently your photoreceptors in your eyes. These bastards are making you go blind with this junk. That's part of the agenda, to make you go blind, to destroy the windows to your soul. That's one of the agendas. Have you ever noticed how much blue lights in Fortnite and all these video games? How much blue lights in your TV now? It's a blue TV, right? Everywhere you go at night, you look in the windows and it looks like people getting abducted by aliens in their living room, right? Here's the other agenda, folks. The blue light and the white light these LEDs produce, and don't kid yourself, they could make a color rendering index around 2,500 to 2,700 Kelvin, but they don't. They go to 3, 4, and 5,000 for a reason. They want that blue light and that white light at night. You know why? Because it affects your circadian rhythm. It keeps you awake. You can't sleep because it suppresses melatonin, because it tricks your body into thinking it's time to stay awake, because it tricks your body into thinking it's daytime. And you know what happens when your body doesn't produce melatonin and you don't sleep? Guess what, young ladies? Your eggs don't form properly. And you know what happens when your eggs don't form properly? Good luck getting pregnant. And of course, your eggs not developing properly because you're sleep deprived. That's one component. Then you got that iPad on your lap that those bastards in the school district made you get in kindergarten and make you use every day of your life until you get to junior high, and then you realize you can't do geometry on the damn thing. That's right. You're microwaving your ovaries and the blue light and the white light at night from the city council's installation of those street lights, and the Edison's recommendation to go smart on your house is destroying your egg quality. Final agenda with LED lighting is to get all the incandescent and halogens out of the homes, because an incandescent and halogen light is nothing more than a glass ball with a filament running through it with some gas, and there's no computer components in it. And you cannot hook up a light bulb to a camera, but you can hook up an LED light with wireless connectivity ability to a surveillance system. And why do you think they want you to have wireless Wi-Fi controlling your frickin' light bulbs, folks? All right, I don't want to talk about it. I'm starting to get mad.
All right, well, continue.
It's hammer time for the LED lights, folks. Hammer time. Well, here it is.
You're going to want to hammer time this one. So I only brought this because you talked about it in a video a couple of months back, and this is several years old, this clipping. And so I made a video about it back at the time, but you'll enjoy this one.
Is this some hot chick in a Halloween costume? No, it's some young lady who has volunteered to make a stipend for ad revenue to promote and promulgate a big piece of propaganda to put a flu vaccine up your nose, folks. That's right. Can you see this?
Oh, you know what? It has all the things on the back too. I never even noticed that.
Yeah, this is not the full vaccine.
No, it's
insert.
not. But I don't know how I
insist on the mist. Your family relies on you, so they can't be down for the count with the flu. All right,
you
folks.
Put it up your nose.
Stick it up your nose. It's available at Target. And some two-bit hack in a white coat will tell you, "Hey, open your nostrils. Here it comes." Right?
It's called the Flu Mist Quadrivalent.
Okay, so they want you huffing and puffing some genetically modified, adjuvant-laden, toxin-laden, witch's brew concoction that's never been tested for mutagenic potential, carcinogenic potential, or impairment of fertility. What is this, folks? Are you going to fall for this stuff? MedImmune, huh? You want to know why you guys keep getting the flu? You want to know why you guys keep getting sick? You really want to know the truth? You want to know how you can not get the flu, folks? It's hammer time for the sugar, okay? The sugar is making you sick. You see, the sugar feeds all the parasites in your body. It feeds all the germs in your body. So you know what? Starve them. Hammer time for the sugar! And hammer time for the vaccines, folks. You know, this is a nice hammer. I got this one at Home Depot. It was $10. And it's got a nice handle. You got to have lots of hammers in your house, folks. You want to know something? You're going to need these things one of these days. And the day may be sooner than you think. You do not want to take a vaccine, folks. Here's the deal. You want to get rid of all chronic inflammation. You want to get rid of all sickness and chronic metabolic disorders. Stop the sugar. Stop the high fructose corn syrup, the sugar, the dextrose, the fructose, the maltose, all this stuff. All the wheat flour. Get that crap out of your life. Eat things that are whole and complete, that come from plants. And if you're going to have some fish, you know, eat something that had a chance to swim instead of being in a prison its whole life in a fish farm. I mean, start using your noggin. Can my neighbors hear me? Well, you know what? It's only, 9 o'clock? Yeah, they're probably watching TV. It doesn't matter. You come over here to upset me again, didn't you?
No. So these are actually 3 are together. And this was all in the same week. And I don't know what the newspapers were thinking on this particular week. But they showed us all the big shadow government, shadowy type leaders. So the Inland Valley Bulletin, they actually printed George Soros's face in the newspaper, which I'm just like stunned that they would even You know, I thought George Soros didn't exist. You know, and they
That's Rockefeller. That's not Soros.
is this.
No, I'm joking. But
Oh,
I'm sure they drank adrenochrome out of the same chalice. Um, yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, they put Soros in the paper, and then in the same week, they published an op-ed from Alan Wapner, and I'm not going to get into what he says because it's very generic. It's about the airport, you know, his airport, but it does say at the bottom, it said that he is president of the Ontario International Airport Authority, the mayor pro tem of the city of Ontario, and president of the Southern California Association of Governments.
Skag.
So, I mean, once again, I cannot believe they're actually printing in the paper Southern California Association of Governments.
Well, because at face value on the surface, it sounds like, hey,
Oh,
he's
yeah,
quite a guy.
Yeah, no,
He's
yeah,
got
of
all
course.
all these awards and qualifications and credentials after his name.
And to me, this is just as stunning as the George Soros, maybe even more so, because I think this guy's even more protected than George Soros. Because George Soros is talked about from time to time, but they printed Hassan Akrada's picture in the newspaper about him leaving SCAG. And I'm guessing a lot of you probably don't know who this guy is right here, but yeah, he's the Russian communist, literal communist, who used to run the Southern California Association of Governments. The Southern California Association of Governments is the largest metropolitan planning agency in the entire country. And for about 10 years, it was headed up by an actual communist from the Soviet Union who was an economic planner back then. He has left SCAG onto greener pastures, and we've talked about that quite a bit privately. But yeah, in 1 week, we end up with the George Soros of Southern California, Hassan Akrada. And he just, this guy is never talked about. Like, you never hear the media talk about this guy. I'm the only one that ever talks about him locally.
You know who I hear talk about George Soros? It's funny because you know who I hear talk about George Soros is the wealthy Republican people that always bash on George Soros and always bag on the illegal aliens, and yet they hire them to be housekeepers, gardeners, plumbers, and electricians. Those are the people who talk about Soros that I know.
But yeah, I mean, it was quite.
You know, when I saw him, I saw a picture of him today, and you know, him and Rockefeller. As Rockefeller started getting up there in years, they look a lot alike. And like I said, I wonder if they drank adrenochrome from the same chalice. It's very possible. Father, in Jesus' name, God help us from the works of darkness that are aimed at us by these social engineers that are hell bent on eugenics and these masterminds of evil and destabilization of societies and enslavement through debt and resource confiscation and the misery that they cause. God, I ask in Jesus' name that people will be freed from these tyrannical psychopaths, because that's what they are. Their lust for money and power and their service to the devil has created so much misery and death and instability and wars and suffering and birth defects that I can't even begin to describe. The things that people send me, the emails that people send me, the videos that people send me, it's heart-wrenching. And these people have no clue how dangerous these guys are. They really don't. They really don't.
It blows my mind, because 5 years ago, if you even mentioned Southern California Association of Governments to the newspaper or these journalists, they'd either say, "What's that?" and they genuinely didn't know, or like it was a conspiracy theory. Oh, that doesn't exist. There's not some shadowy parallel county agency that has all this power. And now they're printing the guy's picture in the newspaper. I mean,
you know, either he's on his way out, maybe.
Well, we know where he's going. He's going to San Diego.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, he may be on his way out. I mean, you know, maybe it's time for them to maybe fake his death or something. Who knows?
I don't know. He got a pretty sweet package to go to San Diego, and we're gonna be paying for that guy for a long time.
So what else you got?
Okay, so let me see. We're kind of going through this quicker than I thought. Let me see what this is. All right, this one, it says Google to give away $25 million to fund humane AI projects. Google will give away $25 million to projects that propose ways to use the artificial intelligence of computers to help create a more humane society. The grant program announced Monday is part of a broader Google initiative called AI for Social Good that aims to ease concerns that advances its in art. Wait, the grant program announced Monday is part of a broader Google initiative called AI for Social Good that aims to ease concerns that advances in artificial intelligence will eliminate. Wait, this is worded really weird. They're trying to ease concerns that AI is going to eliminate jobs and perhaps even be autonomously deployed by militaries to kill people. So they're printing that in the newspaper. Other technologies, other technology companies have taken similar steps to address ethical issues in AI. For instance, Microsoft has committed $115 million to an AI for Good initiative that provides grants to organizations harnessing AI for humanitarian, accessibility, and environmental projects. So since that,
stop right there at that sentence. Insert Bill Gates.
Yeah, I was gonna
donates $100 million for a humanitarian vaccine program.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Keep going.
AI, that's the whole article. The AI vaccine program.
Yeah,
So.
you know, what is this artificial intelligence going to do? Well, right now, like if you got one of those little round circular Wi-Fi things that you could talk to, and I was over at my mom's a while ago, and she has one of these things against my wishes in her home. It's called the Amazon Echo, I think is what it is. And so I started asking the questions like what is the only way to God, and what is the earth flat, and is the Bible the word of God, and is sugar the leading cause of all? And this thing says unable to answer. It could not answer. And I asked it about 10 direct questions. And my mom actually said, son, don't do that. You're going to upset it. I kid you not. Like she actually ascribed this thing had some feelings to it, you know? And I'm just like, so the AI has already gotten under the skin of lonely people. You know, I know a lot of people who have this. They talk to it. They talk to their TV sets. You know, and it's this artificial intelligence is gonna be the end of humanity. That's their plan. But see, guess what, folks? You see this crude instrument right here? They haven't banned these. There's no thing called hammer control. You don't need a license to buy one of these. You don't need to register your hammers, folks. Guess what? Buy as many hammers as you can and learn how to swing this baby and learn how to swing it both ways and use both ends. Artificial intelligence. The reason you want to know why they want 5G everywhere? Okay. Well, first of all, I have to make a point once again, and I'll make this point as I've made it in the past. 5G is really, you know, moving up the frequency bands to where they can transmit tremendous amounts of data. However, it's going to have to use a different frequency band. It's going to have to get into the millimeter waves. And the reason they want so much capability to transmit so much data is so they can surveil everybody.
That's your favorite page, isn't it?
It is. It's so they can surveil everybody. They can. You guys have no idea. They're gonna. The devil has finally come as close as he's going to get to becoming omniscient and omnipresent, because he's going to be able, through his controllers, you know, tie into what everybody's talking about, what everybody's typing, what everybody's reading, what everybody's listening to, what everybody's eating, what everybody's cooking, who everybody's having sex with, and they'll be able to hear, listen, look, and have three-dimensional images of everybody's house, of everybody's cars, of all the streets, of all the public areas, because of 5G, because they've got LEDs everywhere. They're going to have all this computing power with all this big fiber optic cable that's like, it's like the bandwidth. It's like having a 10-lane highway when you only really need 2 or 3 to run a cell phone. Okay. And we got to look here at where 5G is not going, folks. The black says it ain't going in until maybe 2025. I don't know. Look, well, I can tell you right now, it ain't going into South America. And if you're any student of geography, it ain't going into Israel, and that's where 5G originated. Now, this is a publication. This map is from GSMA Intelligence, and they state that we're the industry's leading source of data and insights serving the mobile ecosystem and beyond. And they know this is GSMA Intelligence. These are the guys that know what's going where.
Industry leaders.
This is industry leaders. on who's getting 5G and how come Israel's not getting 5G, folks.
Yeah, the gray are the ones that are not assigned a target date yet.
And the black ain't getting it until 2025. So I can tell you right now, the gray ones, I mean, that's pretty odd, folks. And yet 5G was invented in Israel. And you can look this up. I'm not making this up, folks. The Israelis invented 5G, and yet they're not deploying it in their own country. And that is because they're smart enough to not, they're smart enough not to, they're smart enough to have read the biological effects of millimeter waves published by Kiev-Verachaboe Delo in Russia, volume number 3, 1977. And it talks about all the things that millimeter waves do to the human body and to the organs and the cells and the tissues. And this is quite a mamagasso, folks. And, you know, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck, folks. I got a chemistry degree. I got a biological science degree. And when they start talking about parts as parts and what parts falls apart, when it starts getting hit with these waves, it ain't good. And now the other thing is obviously the Israelis are smart enough that they don't want to have their whole society under total surveillance, where there's back doors in Hillary Clinton's basement and in China and in DARPA's bedroom. And yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of back doors in all these technologies and all these devices. So obviously the people that invented this technology don't want any part of it. And yet it's good enough for us, though, isn't it, folks? See, this is a nightmare. But here's the beauty about hammer time, folks. You see this baby right here? You don't have to have none of this garbage in your house because you don't have to bring it in. And if somebody brings it in your house, it's hammer time. That's right. You can take a hammer to it and destroy it. And if they bring another one in, you smash it again. And you know what? If they start putting the stuff on your property, well, you know, you got to figure out a way to, you know, deal with that.
You're gonna hammer time the.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
What's this? What's this supposed to be? Hey, this one's for.
It's a spinning ball,
oh, this.
Joe.
Are we on this? How come the water doesn't fly off? You guys getting a buzz yet? For all you guys out there, hey, are you guys packing the bong for this one? Look at that. You getting dizzy? And you guys pouring some Gentleman Jack for this one? Hey, can it go backwards? Can we go back in time if we spin it backwards?
Why don't you hit it with the hammer, Joe, so you can don't do it.
What I want you all to realize, folks, is that there are people that are trying to control us, and there are people that are trying to mold us into a bunch of what they want us to do is live in these apartments that they're going to turn into prison cells, and basically they're going to become death row cells, folks, because you're going to be eating microwave hot pockets with fluoridated water, huffing a bunch of chlorine and bromine and chloramine coming through your shower head, and your pineal gland is going to get calcified by your crest, you know, the sodium monofluorophosphate, and then you got your you know, your whitening formula that's going to kill all your friendly bacteria in your mouth. I mean, I could go on about what they got planned, folks, but here's the deal. Do not bring this stuff in your house. You cannot bring these devices in your house. Just resist it, folks. Keep everything hooked up to wires. There's nothing wrong with watching YouTube. There's nothing wrong with watching BitChute and watching all these other platforms, Vimeo. There's nothing wrong with watching blogs that got embedded videos in them. But you cannot be microwaving yourself just so you don't have to have a cord plugged in behind your desk. They're getting you addicted to these devices so you can kill yourself with them, and so they can surveil everybody. And if they decide that they don't like you anymore, well, we know what their plan's going to be for you. I mean, you know, if you're not sitting there with, you know, they're going to run one of these. See that? They're going to fly one of these over your house, and they're going to hit you right between the eyes with a freaking laser beam. And they're just going to blow your head off with these artificial intelligence machines. So don't give me this nonsense that this is all about humane artificial intelligence. I can tell you what their definition of a humane application of artificial intelligence is, and that is to end human suffering by ending human life. That's right. That's exactly what they're thinking, folks. They're just trying to get you to swallow it hook, line, and sinker like a hungry bass on a hot pond in a summer night. And I'm telling you, you can't fall for this. These people are nut jobs, and they think we're all stupid. And you want to know something? If people were gargling 50 years ago with liquid mercury, and now they're gargling with ethyl alcohol and sodium saccharin and potassium sorbate and FDC3, guess what? We haven't evolved very far, have we? They're still winning. Well, no, they're not. We're winning, folks. And we're not going to let them turn our homes into a Tesla coil. Is this not working? What is going on here? You see this right here? This is a plasma, okay? Now, that's just the electrification of air inside a closed tube. And guess what they're going to do in your house? They're going to do the same thing, except they're going to broadcast this electromagnetic frequency spectrum at the absorption spectrum of oxygen, so you won't be able to breathe very well. And you'll sit there and sink into your couch with that milkshake between your legs. And then that blue glow is going to keep going and making you blind and lazy, and then you won't be able to sleep. Then you have to take sleeping pills, and you're going to have to take melatonin supplements, and you're going to have to take anti-diarrhea medicine because Hot Pocket didn't get long enough in the microwave on the defrost cycle, and you let it sit there too long, and then you reheated it too many times. Ladies and gentlemen, you see what's behind me? 95% of the United States looks like this. It's rural open space, and they want you in a death row cell called a high-density apartment with an Amazon Dot and an Echo and a Wi-Fi router and a Wi-Fi extender. I saw something today, 5G, Verizon's rolling out 5G. And here's the deal. The current 5G that's coming out for home applications right now is going to be running at about 3.5 gigahertz. Right now we're doing 2.4 gigahertz with current Wi-Fi. They're going to 3.5. It's still microwaves, folks. The current 5G that they're rolling out for home use is not millimeter waves yet. I want to make that very clear. It's still bad. It's not nearly as bad as what's coming. But they're talking about now you're going to have 5G throughout all of your house, and they're talking about how Verizon's going to have extenders that are going to cover it everywhere. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you that stupid? Do you want to fill your house with poison gas? It's the equivalent of it. Where'd it go? It's hammer time, folks. I'm not kidding. I'm breaking this baby out. There ain't going to be none of that stuff in my house. And I want to tell you something. If I'm getting signals coming in, I'm going to reflect them back. I've already got ways. You guys need to start making parabolic reflectors and get ready to start beaming this stuff back. If they're going to put weaponry aimed at your house, you're going to aim it right back at them. Figure out how to get these old TV sets and get that old cathode ray tube out of there and turn that bad boy into a parabolic reflector. It is hammer time, and we're going to do it our way, folks. We're going to go the Sanford and Son way, folks. We're going to take the old school junk, and we're going to turn it into protective devices. So I'm calling all of my followers to get their hands on old TV sets and keep them in your garage, because the day is coming where you're going to need that parabolic reflector. Do you understand me? Gary, what else you got?
All right. So speaking of 5G, someone sent this to my P.O. box. It's a newspaper from Quincy, Massachusetts.
Kind of close to my old stomping grounds.
And you lived in Massachusetts?
I was born there.
Are you a masshole?
No, my dad got me the heck out of that masshole when I was 2 years old because he knew better.
All right, so it says councilors, which is city council, balk at wireless ordinance. It said that an ordinance now pending before the city council would grant the city's director of inspectional services the ability to approve permits for small cell facilities on utility poles in Quincy. Councilors said they were hesitant to approve the ordinance, expressing concerns the small cell facilities could soon flood the city. Mayor Thomas Koch introduced an ordinance to streamline the applications for such antennas earlier this year.
Bastard.
And the council's ordinance committee met October 29 to review the proposal. No vote was taken, and Stephen Durkin, an assistant city solicitor, said he would work with Jay Duca, the inspectional services director, to address councilors' concerns about the ordinance. Durkin said the ordinance was introduced because wireless carriers have filed a number of applications to install the small cell facilities on utility poles in recent years, many of which have not been acted upon. The city council, he said, currently has the ability to approve those applications under state law. The proposed ordinance would shift that responsibility to Duca, and Duca is the inspectional services director. So basically, city council will be giving up its authority to some unelected.
So they're going to get some unelected bureaucrat to fatten up his wallet with a bunch of bribes to put him everywhere.
So it says
what's this guy's name? The dirtbag?
Jay Duca.
Oh, Jay Dirtbag.
Oh, and then there's Mayor Thomas Koch wanted to streamline the.
Oh, Mr. Koch wanted to give away the farm to Mr. Dirtbag Duca. So they're both cool with it, right? Irradiating the whole town and taking payola.
So it says the proposed ordinance would shift that responsibility to Duca, the inspectional services director. If Duca were to reject a proposal, the wireless carrier could appeal that decision to the council.
Okay, let me see that. Where's your thumb on this? Let me see this again.
Okay, let me just finish this page. Durkin expects more applications to come in the future. I have been forewarned that we should expect more and more of these applications because there are gaps in cell phone coverage around the city.
Okay, first of all, there are no 5G cell phones in anyone's hands, pocket, or between their legs right now. They don't exist. So what does this talk about? That we need these 5G these small wireless antennas to come in because we got to fill a gap that doesn't exist on the current GSM technology. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so it says, because there are gaps in cell phone coverage around the city, he said, pointing to areas around C Street and Quincy Shore Drive where coverage can be improved. The gaps in coverage are a concern of the Quincy Police Department. Oh, this is good too. The ordinance, as proposed, includes a number of protections for the city, including design standards. Wait, hold on. Is there more? Oh, there is more. Design standards, Durkin said. No more than one small cell wireless facility could be installed on a utility pole, and such devices could not be within 180 feet of each other or within 20 feet of any home, school, daycare facility, or fire station.
20 feet?
A $200 fee will be charged for each application.
20 feet from your house. You hear that, folks? 20 feet from your house.
Councilors expressed concerns about the ordinance during the committee hearing. Ward 3 councilor, they're in districts. Ward 3 councilor Ian Kane said more information on the applications would be needed. He said wireless companies are looking to expand their 5G capabilities, which could lead to numerous small cell facilities being installed citywide. Quote, this is a very important piece of legislation before us because this could essentially provide an opportunity to just go to the director of inspectional services, pay a couple $100, and you could stick an antenna on any pole throughout the city. That's why it would be better for me to understand what do these applications look like, who are these applications coming from, what are people trying to do? Are they really just trying to patch up some areas of service, or are we trying to tattoo the town with antennas? Ward 6 councilor William Harris, who previously worked to get an application for a small cell facility on Huckins Avenue rejected, said the council should retain the ability to vet those applications. So he doesn't want to give it over to that unelected guy. Constituents, he said, are concerned about the possible health effects of the small cell facilities. You can have all the scientific knowledge and all the scientific stuff. I just think back, asbestos was the greatest, but it killed people years later, Harris said. Taking it out of our hands, I think, is the wrong thing. Keep it in our hands because we have our constituents. Ward 2 councilor Brad Crowell said he was concerned ward councilors would not be notified about pending applications if the council were to give up their authority. The last thing, and I added that give up their authority, but that's what they're saying. The last thing I want, and I think most of us want, is to wake up and the train has already left the station or the horse has left the barn. Two-way communication from the outset probably would solve that. Durkin, the guy that wants the power, Durkin, in response to feedback from the council, said he would look at changes he could make to the ordinance. I am happy to comply with the councilor's wishes, whatever those wishes are, to the extent that the law allows. So that's the whole article.
So we got a city council that's trying to get duped into abdicating their responsibility to their constituents and their responsibility to protect the public health, welfare, and fiduciary of the city.
You can keep that if you want to keep it.
Got some good people in local government, folks. Too bad in my town they're all a bunch of dirtbag, scumbag morons that handed it off to the city manager to make those decisions. So, and in my city, when I tried to get them to wake up and I tried to explain to them what they're about to do, we had the public works director, Mr. Hoppy, admit that he hasn't seen any studies on millimeter waves and human health. Isn't that brilliant? You moron! Now you're retired and went to go work somewhere else. You're gonna hang a shingle somewhere else to screw those people over. You know, folks, it's hammer time for a lot of things. Okay, it's hammer time. I mean it. You guys gotta understand something. All right. And all you yuppies with your Teslas out there wrapping your legs around these gigantic batteries right under your cojones. Did you know they put the freaking batteries right under the passenger and the driver's seats and those things? You know what kind of electromagnetic fields are going through those cars with all the Wi-Fi and sensors and all the electronics in? You guys want leukemia? Go rent one of those things for a couple years on a lease. You want to lose a whole bunch of money? Go buy one and watch that thing depreciate. I'm just telling you, all you greeny, hippie, yuppie doopies out there that think you're all part of this revolution, you're all part of sterilizing your kids and getting leukemia. Because we all know that electromagnetic fields cause cancer and leukemia. So why are you going to sit on some gigantic transformer and drive around town thinking you're bitching? Because somebody on TV told you? See the brainwashing? See how it happens? So you're going to take your Tesla over to Best Buy and bring home a bunch of Wi-Fi extenders because you're going to get some $50 a month deal through Verizon? Are you people out of your mind? I know I'm not. Do you know my car has a cassette player in it? Do you know my car's got one of those business radios where I can go to a weather station and I can hear the computer tell me, today, the forecast for Southern California calls for fair skies with a chance of rain developing after 3 o'clock. But in reality, the weather forecast, even though the National Weather Service will tell you on 162.55 megahertz, the NOAA weather radio station is going to tell you that there's a chance of rain. The truth is, the weather forecast is today is fair weather with a chance of chemtrails, folks. You see, that's the weather forecast. And when they tell us it's going to be 80% chance of rain, it's really going to be a 70% chance of chemtrails and a 10% chance of drizzle. Okay? Because that's what's going on. Yeah, this guy comes over here with the stuff in his bag, and it's always the same things. He comes over here to make me upset. Okay? And I don't need any help. I haven't you figured out that I don't need any help getting mad?
No, not after today.
Look, the Mars rover. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. That thing is laughable.
When I saw that story, I just started laughing because I'm like, oh God, Joe's gonna have a heart attack.
It's unbelievable. But I mean, come on. Okay. All right. Look. All right. I want to be serious right now, ladies and gentlemen. Do you really honestly believe that they have spacecraft that can propel against a vacuum and control the direction of travel and accelerate and decelerate and descend and maneuver? You cannot operate a ship or a boat without a rudder or a steering wheel. You cannot achieve any type of propulsion in a vacuum. It's impossible. You have to have something to thrust against. When an airplane takes off, the jets are thrusting against the air. When a rocket takes off, the rocket is thrusting against the ground. Please go to NASA's $1 trillion treason. Go to NASA666.com. Look at the picture of the thing that supposedly landed on the moon. It looks like it's made out of paper mache and mylar film with duct tape, and it looks like it's just sitting there in a studio that's got a bunch of chalk dust on the ground. This thing supposedly traveled 300,000 miles through space and had a thruster that landed it on the moon. There's not even a blast crater. There's no dust on any of this thing. It's a freaking joke. And, I don't care if your grandpa worked for NASA. I don't care if your uncle works for NASA. I don't care if your dad worked for Raytheon or Rockwell. I don't care if he sat in a cubicle and barbecued beef on the weekends and drank vodka with his pals because he made $80,000 a year in 1977. That doesn't matter. He was a compartmentalized tool like everybody else. Ain't no propulsion in space, folks, because what goes up must come down. And if you go up high enough, you're going to hit the roof. And they already figured that out years ago. They were running these programs with Operation Fishbowl, Operation Dominic, and they're blowing up nuclear devices 80 miles up in the air because they were mapping it out, trying to figure out how far the roof goes, how tall the thing is, and they were electrifying it at the same time so they could be able to bounce communication signals off of it and have it come down anywhere else in the world that they claim is being done by satellites, which is not being done by satellites. So what did they do when they figured out, we can't blow through it? Break on through to the other side was Jim Morrison's acid trip. It didn't go very well for him. It didn't go very well for our military. What did they do after they confirmed that they can't blow a hole in the roof? They militarized space. And what did they do after that? They signed the Antarctic Treaty. And what did they do after that? They created NASA. And what did they do after that? They spoon-fed you some abject BS about some rocket landing on the thing up there with these Masonic clowns that supposedly jumped out of this thing with these Halloween costumes and set foot on a studio that Stanley Kubrick was running the cameras in. I mean, come on! And they take trillions of dollars adjusted for inflation to do it, and I'm driving on rolls with potholes. and there's people sleeping under the bridge, and there's people coming back fighting these proxy wars. They've got PTSD and they're all jacked up on heroin and meth. And you want to know something? You people are freaking evil. You NASA files, you guys are sickos. You know that? I know. Hey, I know there's some of you out there that are pulling a couple 100,000. You're working in the computer generated image department. You actually, and I know there's physicists. There's all kinds of people in cubicles working on theoretical stuff. And I'm not saying you're evil, but you're part of something that is. And if you actually really, really believe, but actually you probably do because you've spent so much time in academia that your brain's been detached from reality. And you spent so much time in the theoretical and the abstract. And let me tell you something. They try to do it to me. Let me grab something real quick here before I go into a. If I go, okay. You see this? All right. You do enough of these. You do enough of these, and you'll smoke the chronic. Okay. You see all this? Okay. All these crazy equations and all these reactions and they got me really theoretical, folks. I was theoretical for 5 years, and I was detached from reality, reading spectrometers and all. Yeah, look, I know how it operates. They get your brain detached from reality, and then they give you a badge and says you are royalty, and you go to town, and anybody that disagrees with you is an idiot or a nut job. And that's how they do it. And that's what we got. Everybody's got this lapel that says EDD, and that's not for erectile dysfunction disorder, folks. That's education doctor. Those are the people running the school districts. And they got, PhD. What does that stand for? I'm not even going to go into what the acronym that comes to mind for that is, but I will tell you that these people are out of touch with reality. All I know is that you cannot fly something in a vacuum because there's nothing to push against. You're going to have something on top of it pulling. And unless there's somebody up there on the roof with a string, it ain't going to work. So it's all fake. And there's no spinning balls out there with people walking around on them. There's no chupacabras. There's no aliens. It's a closed system, folks. All this stuff's advanced technology. All these UFOs are government operations. Tesla technology that was stolen from him by Trump's uncle when he died. I mean, these are all facts, folks. These are all facts, okay? There's no aliens. They're demonic beings. There's all this stuff on George Norrie. It's a bunch of bullshit, okay? Coast to Coast is a big psyop, all right? And I try to listen to it just for once in like 3 or 4 years. Can I get like 10 minutes of something that's worth listening to? I remember years ago, at least you'd have Malachi Martin on there, with some of the Jesuit secrets he'd kind of spiel out. And, Art Bell would kind of tell us, oh, yeah, the harp's going wacko. The birds are flying north for the winter instead of south. I mean, the birds would start flying backwards, then he's off the air for 5 years, right? He starts talking about that kind of stuff. My point is that the whole thing's a big psyop, and you guys are all being lied to in this NASA thing. Oh, it is beyond my ability to comprehend that anybody could actually believe that stuff. But if you live in Cartoonville, and if you play Farmville on your phone, and if you live in La La Land, and if you're into the frosting and the sprinkles, then you're into the twinkles. And that's what they're telling you it is, folks. This is amazing. It's crazy, right? How can you believe this is real? Doesn't it look like a piece of junk? I mean, have you seen the pictures of the thing that's supposedly landing? Who's filming that? I mean, what is this? It's all simulation. Oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. I mean, why don't they just turn it into a Simpsons episode and be done with it and save them a bunch of money? I mean, did you see the control room, guys?
I haven't really seen any of it. I just saw a headline, and I just saw Mars and NASA. I just said, oh man,
you should have seen the control room. It's a bunch of monitors. They're all wearing blue shirts, and they look like the kind of guys. These do not look like scientists. They don't look like engineers. They look like a bunch of guys, the middle-aged guys that they just grabbed off the street. And okay, all right. So I was in Vegas, and I seen this video game convention, like tournament going at the Luxor, and that's what the guys look like. A bunch of video game addict dudes that haven't shaved for a couple of weeks, and they've had way too much fast food, and they haven't had any sunlight. Those are the people that were high-fiving each other, folks. They did not look like the dignified. I mean, at least when they faked the moon landings, they got people that had some prestigious demeanor to them. These guys look like they just let themselves go. I mean, it's a low-budget scam operation now. I mean, do we have to talk about this? Can we change the subject?
You brought up NASA and Mars, and I didn't bring that up.
NASA Tavares. Did we talk about NASA Tavares?
We're gonna talk about her after we're done.
Didn't she call up one of your buddies and tell him to
Yeah,
stop doing this
we're
thing?
not gonna talk about that on this today.
Okay, what else you want to
You
talk
haven't
about?
even heard the thing yet, so.
All right, tell me what else you got
All
here to
right.
raise my blood pressure. We're going on an hour and 14 minutes, and I feel like we just got started. Are you guys all still with us? Can I see a yes?
Would you
Are
like?
you guys still with us?
Should I give him a heart attack, or should I calm him down for a minute? I don't know.
They're telling me to leave Deborah alone. Are you kidding me? She's part of the scam. Go ahead.
All right, so I made a video about this. I think this is one of the most important things that we have facing us, because all of us eat, and it says gene-edited food is coming, but will shoppers buy? The next generation of biotech food is headed for the grocery aisles, and first up may be salad dressings or granola bars made with soybean oil, genetically tweaked to be good for your heart. By early next year, the first foods from plants or animals that had their DNA edited are expected to begin selling. It's a different technology than today's controversial genetically modified foods, more like faster breeding that promises to boost nutrition, spur crop growth, make farm animals hardier, and have fruits and vegetables last longer. That's not good. The U.S. National Academy of Science has declared gene editing one of the breakthroughs needed to improve food production so the world can feed billions of more people amid a changing climate. Yet governments are wrestling with how to regulate this powerful new tool. And after years of confusion and rancor, will shoppers accept gene-edited foods or view them as GMOs in disguise? So I'll just make a quick point. When they tell you that a fruit or a vegetable lasts longer, that means that when you eat it, it doesn't digest in your system. It just sits in your gut. And that's how people get cancer and have all these problems with their guts with what's that thing called that people get?
Irritable bowel,
There's that.
diverticulitis.
Yeah, that's the one, diverticulitis.
Yeah, I mean,
because your food's supposed to digest within a certain amount of time. But when you eat the wrong food or you eat fast food, that's the best example I give people. The food doesn't digest. It just sits in your body, and it can literally sit in your body for years. And that's why everyone that eats this crap gets cancer. And I showed it in my video. You are what you eat. Walk into a Walmart and you'll see the most nasty people you've ever seen in your life. And then walk into a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods or one of those kind of places, and there's all these fit, young, happy-looking people. And it just.
Hey, by the way, guys, if you're single, that's the place to go, because
it is the place to go.
I want to tell you something. I'm married. I'm happily married. I wouldn't change a thing. I love my wife. She's as hot as they come. But I'll tell you something. You want to go to Trader Joe's? It's hilarious, because the girls that walk around that place, they're in there in their spandex, just putting it all out there, showing off what they got, and they're just Hey, I'm warning you. Get off your Fortnite, get off your Keister, and go to Trader Joe's and go hang out at the ice cream aisle. That's where they're all at. I'm not kidding. I mean, if I was 21 again, that's where I'd be. Where was I? It was 100 to 1. I'm trying to think. It was incredible. Where the heck was I? There was no dude to be seen in the place. And well, I mean, I'm more likely than, you know what, to be honest with you, everywhere I go, where's all the guys? What's wrong with you people? Are you guys all playing video games? Are you guys all like in the house watching TV? Because there's still plenty of gals out there. I mean, I don't know, but you're right. You go to Walmart and it's sad.
It really is.
It breaks my heart.
That's what they're eating. They're eating.
And you want to know something? A lot of you out there listening to me, I'm trying to warn you. And I love all you guys. And I may get mad and I may yell and scream and I may break out the hammer, but you got to stop killing yourself. I hate it when people get away with hurting you. And that's why I'm trying to warn you. You may think, oh, I'm mean or I'm making fun. I'm not making fun, folks. You know what I try to do is I try to tell the truth in a way that's humorous. It's not a big downer. I'm not like Debbie Downer Tavares, okay, where the world's coming to an end and I'm looking like some TBN burnout with these big black glasses on, trying to scare you to kill yourself. I'm trying to give you some hope. I'm trying to give you some solutions. And you want to talk about this gene editing of the food. Gary's right. The reason it'll last longer is because the bacteria won't digest it, the fungus won't digest it, the microbes don't break it down, and the symbiotic bacteria in your intestinal digestive tract won't be able to help you break down. The HCl levels in your stomach won't be able to break it down. So you're going to have full belly starvation. You're going to have undigested food leaving your stomach, going into your colon, your large intestine, your small intestine. And you're going to develop polyps, diverticulitis, colon, and everything else. And so this is how they're going to kill you. They're going to give you full belly starvation and a death sentence. Because here's the deal. With the mosaicism that results from the gene editing, it's like driving your car down the freeway with your door open. It starts smashing into everything else, tries to open and close, and it's all smashed. It doesn't work. Anytime to open and close, you smash your arm, cut your hand off, and smash something else. It's a disaster, folks. There is nothing like heirloom food grown in the sun, not this GMO gene-edited stuff grown in a chemical slurry under pink fluorescence in a warehouse. And that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading, folks. You see what's behind me? This is 95% of the United States. Do you know there's a reason why they're using directed energy weapons and blowing up people's houses with the smart grid and their propane refrigerators? You know that's why they're burning people off the land and out of the mountains, because they want them into these stacking packs like Gary talks about. Okay, I'll save it for another show. I'm not going to talk about this tonight. You know what? I'll tell you right now. What happened in Paradise, California? I had a gal call me last night. She didn't want me to get her on the show. And she gave me some information. Fasting, that's right, folks. Fasting is the key to health, by the way. And if you didn't know that, I'm going to tell you something. Did you know you can go days without food and water and it's good for you? Did you know that? Did you know that? You want to cure disease? You want to cure cancer? What does the Bible say about fasting? Oh, yeah, the Bible's a bunch of baloney, huh? It's an old, stupid book for crazy people, right? No, it is the truth. That's why it's under attack. And that's why you got 1,000 channels with vampire porno and all these satanic creatures that look like they just come out of the bottomless pit, and they're hanging out with Abaddon and Apollyon, the destroyer, right? Everything is all this vile filth, right? And the Bible's got these eternal truths about the shape of the earth and the keys to life, the keys to death, the keys to hell, the keys to heaven, and the ways to be healthy and live and survive. And what do? They give you everything but, right? All the lies, and they fill your head. They make you go to school, learn all this crap. No room for God, right? Wrong, folks. You got to eat things that God made, and you got to live the way God intended you to live. You see that right there? You don't wear sunglasses when you're out in that. So you don't walk around in sunglasses anywhere, folks. Maybe when you're driving at night with these headlights aiming at you in the head, but what else you got there, pal?
Okay, I got one more, and it's kind of a gag.
Oh, boy, I hate this, because you're setting me up, I know.
Yeah, well, I think your reaction is going to be, okay, but you're probably going to blow up inside. Anyway, so we've had a lot of conversations about this. Right now, as I speak, there is a person who works at YouTube who is watching this broadcast to make sure we don't say the wrong thing. And it's a female who's very overweight, has purple hair, hairy underarms, all of that. And, that's who's watching our videos, to determine whether or not we're guilty of hate speech or any of that stuff. And one of these employees at YouTube was shown in the newspaper. And
purple hair and hairy underarms, huh?
Yeah. So here's the YouTube moderator in the newspaper.
Look at this, folks.
That's normal.
Kind of looks like David Bowie.
Kind of does.
We never had this problem when I was a teenager.
So that's who's watching our video right now to determine whether or not we should be convicted of hate speech crimes.
Can I ask you a question? Is there like a lot of these people on TV now that are actually men that look like women? Because I'm hearing that.
I don't know. I will say.
What's with that?
Okay, so I was at the gym a week ago, and it was in the middle of the day, and they had some soap opera on. I don't know what it was, what the show was on, and I think it's like an older show from I don't know if it was from a long time ago.
What is this?
But there was a scene, and I looked up, and there was a scene.
That's a dude, huh?
And it was
that's a dude with purple hair. What's going on with the Adam's apple?
Well, maybe it
is that a dude?
I don't know. I don't even know.
You know what's a trip is I noticed on some of these movie stars that I used to think were like attractive people when I was like younger. I noticed that they wear these collars now, these women, and they got this like You can see all the scar tissue right here, you know? And it's hilarious because, my son's 19, his Adam's apple sticks out more than his nose.
Yeah, that is a
And
guy because of the shoulders.
It's all dudes now.
Well, anyway, so
it's crazy.
So this soap opera's on, and I looked up, and the scene in the soap opera was this, I don't know, I guess like a teenage boy, and he was talking to this, what was supposed to be an older lady, someone that's probably like 60, and it was blatantly a guy with long hair. Like it was, you could just tell it was a guy, and I think that's one of those people that you've been talking about, where 20 years ago this wasn't even a thing, but there were people doing it, and it just wasn't really talked about. It was just bizarre.
Well, I think a lot of that was going on like in Club 54 and the discos for the high-end socialites.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been going on.
It wasn't mainstream, I can tell you that.
It's been going on forever, but it's just...
the closest thing we got to it was Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith on the house music once in a while.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what is this, the entertainment section of some newspaper? Or
LA
Image?
Times.
Oh, LA. I mean, they got this big Tesla antenna tower at the Wilshire Center now, don't they? LA is just part of the whole system, right? And I think didn't Elon Musk abandon his tunnel project over there recently? I guess they got enough Tesla current going through that building.
I'm really glad he's crashing and burning over the little Joe Rogan smoking weed, making funny faces on the podcast.
Joe Rogan, all these guys are diversions. I want to tell you something, folks. Gary and I, we're not diversions, folks. We tell the truth, and much to our detriment. That's why we don't have 2 million followers, is because we're not sitting here how to tell you how to have better eyebrows or how to get the perfect piercing. We're here to tell you the truth, folks. And sometimes it ain't popular because, I mean, there are these channels that got more views and subscribers with these kids making slime. And it just shows where the algorithms want you to head, and it shows what trough they want you to eat out of, folks. Well, we're going to buck those trends. We're going to keep telling the truth, no matter what, because we owe it to you. And, you owe it to everyone else, too. We cannot let these people win because they've already lost. They're losers, okay? And they serve a God who's a loser. His name is Lucifer. He is a loser. That's the big L word, right? Loser, okay? And then they get the toothless guy that was living with the bimbos that's got HIV. Now, what's his name? Charlie Sheen, that crackhead. They use him to say, winning, winning. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you something. Winning is with this, okay? You see this right here? It is hammer time, folks. It is hammer time for the lies. It is hammer time for the weapons. It is hammer time for the evil, okay? I've had enough of it. I've had enough of all this witchcraft and all this vampirism and all this perversion and all these lies and all this rip-off operation, all this weaponry. And you need to understand that it's hammer time, okay? It's hammer time every day. And what we got to do is use the back. We got to chip away slowly at all of this crap, okay? And some of you guys are at school out there, some of you kids at the high school watching this right now, you know what? You're going to be out of that prison in just a couple of years. And I want to give all you high school students some advice. If you don't want to stay in high school, did you want to know something? You can test out with the GED. That's right, folks. You can get out of that prison cell in a heartbeat. All you have to do is take 2 sets of exams, and you don't have to sit there for the rest of that 4 years. Now, if you like it and you like being around all the pretty girls and all the fun, that's fine. But if you're on the verge of trying to kill yourself because you can't keep up with the academic pressure, or you feel like you don't belong there, you need to tell the counselor that you want to test out and escape. Because the Wi-Fi prison with the metal walls is not the place for everyone, folks, where they teach you that we're on some spinning ball and that there is no God and it's okay to have purple hair and cut your boobs off. No, that's not where everybody belongs. And they'll never tell you this, that Jesus Christ died for your sins. And no matter who you are or what you've done, what you look like, what you feel like, what you're capable of, what you're not capable of, we all got the same blood. We've all got the same Heavenly Father. We've all got the same destiny if we accept it. And that is eternal life with God if we accept the full atonement for our sins by the sinless work of Jesus Christ on that cross. And young men and young women, I know there's a lot of you out there that watch this and that you listen to this. I know there are people out there hurting. I know I get your emails. I read them. I can't respond to them all. And I know this. The truth will set you free. The truth will make you free. And he who the Son sets free is free indeed. And you can be free. And school is child abuse for a lot of you. And you don't have to go through it. You can get out. And by the way, did you know you don't need a high school diploma to go to college? Did you know that? You can go to a junior college without a high school diploma. And did you know if you can demonstrate competency, you can get admitted to a Cal State or a UC school? Did you know that? So don't let them make you believe you got to stay in these Wi-Fi prisons with these metal walls, because that's a lie. And better yet, you also don't need a college education to become somebody in this world, folks, because everybody has value and everybody has skill. And education is one of the most dangerous things that's ever been done to humanity. How do I know that? Because it almost happened to me. That's all I got to say. You got anything else, Gary?
No, I'm done.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. This is a really long one tonight. And, to all of you out there who don't know who this guy is, this is Gary Gileno from Grindall 61 YouTube. He's done a tremendous amount of work. He's done a tremendous service to humanity, trying to stop Agenda 21, trying to stop the Hunger Games model from becoming a reality. And we're going to keep on keeping on, folks. And we want you to keep on keeping on and get off your couch and put that Hot Pocket away and get that milkshake out of your hands. Put the bong down. Put Johnny Walker back in the cabinet. Listen to me. Go cut your grass and tell your wife you love her, okay? And kiss your kids goodnight and look them in the eyes. And get that television out of your house. Get that Wi-Fi out of your house. Get that reverse osmosis system put under that sink. And change those brake pads before you pop your calipers. All right, good night, everybody, and God bless, and we'll see you on the fly in the morning.